I want to do what those guys are doing, like big backflips, like massive running jumps. I was like that. Like you get a lot of fear. You're looking at jumping, whether you're up high jumping across a roof. I just wanted to end my life basically, and that was. The early days, not really much drive or ambition. I kind of was just existing, and there wasn't really like any purpose in my life like back then.
This is Callun Lavington, a man with no real purpose, defining a passion for one particular sport, parkour.
There's a lot of like mental development that comes with parkour. It's not just, you know, physical moves, trying to do the biggest jump you can. There is also an element of it which is tackling like what's going on in your head. Like you get a lot of fear. You're looking at jumping, whether you're up high jumping across a roof or if you're, you know, doing a jump that's 3-4 meters off the ground. There's going to be that element of fear.
Callun's first love for the sport came from watching a video called Storm Freerun Volume 1, which quickly got his attention, and his life has changed from that point onwards.
This one was the first one that was really shot in a way that was beautiful and it was cinematic, and you could really get like a absolute scale of the movement that was going on. And that popped up in my YouTube recommended in May 2012, and I watched it and I was instantly like, I want to do what those guys are doing, like big backflips, like massive running jumps. I was like, that looks really, really cool. So I went down to the park at the end of my road and started hopping over the fence, and I've pretty much done it every day since.
It quickly became an obsession. His desire to be out in the open only grew stronger. Callun grew up from the age of 6 months in West Sussex, in the market town of Horsham, where he started his parkour journey at 13 years old.
I've lived in Horsham all of my life, pretty much from like the age of like 6 months. Lived in Horsham, started doing parkour in Horsham, and you know, as it's the hometown, it's kind of developed a lot of my training and my style of training and who, I guess, the way I move as a person.
Over the years, this town has become very familiar with freerunners, as it is also home to YouTube famous parkour team, Stora.
There's quite a big parkour team on YouTube called Stora, who've got 9 million subscribers or something like that. So they're pretty huge, and they've always been quite big in the parkour community. And because of their kind of like status and how well they're known, Horsham was like a massive hotspot for parkour. And that was really good for us because it meant that every week there was new people coming to the town and training, which was really good.
However, this wasn't to last long, as the Horsham District Council decided to ban parkour from the town centre due to its dangerous nature and popularity.
They basically made the decision to ban parkour in Horsham Town Centre, putting it under a public spaces protection order, to basically say that, you know, it's a nuisance activity and therefore you shouldn't be allowed to do it in the town centre.
Nonetheless, the message on the signs were forced to change 3 months later, as the UK became the first country to recognise parkour as an official sport.
This ban came into place, and then within like the space of like 3 months, parkour got officially recognised as a sport in the UK, and then the wording that was originally on the ban in Horsham had to be changed because of that, I think. So that was really positive because it kind of meant that there was now a bit of a loophole for us to get around by training out in the town centre. It was a very like weird time.
Despite having its treacherous side, one thing's for sure, that freerunning has severely positive impacts for you both physically and mentally, something which Callun has locked onto.
It's a sport that's very much focused on yourself. The barrier for entry is really low because you don't need any equipment, so it's accessible to a lot of people. And like I said, it kind of like helps you build up those tools. So, you know, in parkour you are tackling areas of fear. You know, you might be going up at a height which could be potentially quite scary, and there's been definitely been times where I've been scared and it's been quite anxiety inducing, but you kind of learn a process. You learn massively what your body can do and how your body is going to deal with a scary situation or a worrying situation, and then just being able to take control of that and being like, well, I've done this over there, which is the same size, 2 foot lower. So things like that are great.
All of this has led to him showing his entrepreneurial side with his own brand, Contendunt.
Basically, Contendunt started as just a generic parkour brand. It was very much like, you know, about 5 years ago, I was sat there, I was like, I kind of just want to do something. Like, I'd kind of been like, I'd just finished up, like, professionally in parkour, so doing like adverts and stuff. And I was kind of like, not lost, but I just wanted to start something. So I started a clothing brand called Contendunt. And it was just like a generic parkour brand, really. It was just very much like focused on trying to like get into the parkour market and make clothing for parkour.
However, it wasn't to start brightly, as factors in his personal life got in the way to the point of no return. 2.5
years ago, my mental health was really, really bad. And I had basically a mental breakdown, and I just started, I just wanted to end my life, basically. And that was through like a couple of years of like abusing alcohol and kind of coming to terms with the fact that, you know, the professional side of parkour for me was over, and I was getting to this point where, you know, I wasn't making much money in parkour, but I still kind of wanted to continue doing it and getting to that point where you're becoming an adult and money is an important thing for you to have, especially if you want to like move out or start a family or whatever. And then just combined with like other like factors as well, like I was in a job that I really didn't like, and just falling out with a lot of friends and a lot of people. So I basically got really down and decided I was going to take my own life.
Thankfully for Callun, the people closest to him were there when he needed them most.
My friend phoned me right as I was at the train station, ready to jump in front of a train, and said to me, you know, there's so much more that you can give and provide to the world. Like, don't take that away from people. And once he did that, he made sure that I didn't jump in front of the train, that I got on the train and got home safely. Next morning, I spoke to my mum and I said, look, I'm not feeling too good, so we went to hospital and kind of went down that route. But what he kind of said there about you can provide so much more to the world was like kind of struck with me, and I realized that we're in this sport and we're in this community, and there's probably other people that feel exactly the same way that I had been feeling.
Following on from the years of battling these severe mental health problems, Callun decided to change Contendunt's focus to promoting the inclusion and education of mental health in lifestyle sports.
I've got this thing that's not successful or it's not doing very well. How about I try and turn it into this positive thing that's there to help and support people and give people hope. And, you know, Contendunt is Latin for strive, and it was kind of just like a thing that I chose when we started, but I guess in some kind of like weird way, it's now, you know, striving to make mental health accessible to people, make people aware that, you know, sometimes things can get really dark, but if you carry on, things will get better.
This change has not only benefited himself, but it has also allowed him to start conversations that weren't even considered before.
In parkour, we don't talk a lot about our feelings. Like, we talk a lot about what we're feeling before we do a jump, but it's very rare that someone within parkour will turn around to their training buddies and be like, you know what, I'm not feeling too good. Like, I don't feel great mentally. So I think a lot of our feedback has been people appreciating the fact that we've started that conversation within parkour. Like, you know, we've started, I guess, a bit of like a mental health conversation going with people and being like, you know, it is actually okay to talk about how you're feeling, whether you're good, whether you're bad. It doesn't matter, like, talk about it because it's very important. And we've had loads of people like come up to us as well, like a lot of parents be like, it's a really good role model for kids, because it's like, if we can get into kids' heads when they're young that it's okay to talk about these topics, when they go through those stressful times, you know, they've got hormones going all over the place, they're going for exams at school, they know it's okay to open up and be like, I'm not doing too good.
Nowadays, after a short-lived professional period in parkour, Callun is now coaching the sport at Traversal Gym in Crawley, as well as inspiring others with the Contendunt campaign. And as always, movement never dies.